Internet. Welcome to episode 106 of the Making Geeks podcast. We are the podcast for makers, dads, and geeks. Tonight we have a great show here for you, especially with our co-host here, starting with Mr. Josh Price.
Hello, everybody.
And from probably very little sleep, Mr. Mark O'Keefe.
What's going on?
And Mr. Wes Swain.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And I am Sean Jolliker. What's up?
You are Sean.
You guys all well rested, except for probably Mark. You know, we've had a week off.
Yeah, what have you been doing? Lazy.
Wish. I got me a new baby.
Yay.
Brand new
Hey!
baby.
Good job.
I
Congrats, sir.
procreated again.
You know, you don't have to re-up your dad cred to stay on the show.
That's right.
How messed up would that be? You know, Sean, it's been 3 years and you haven't had another kid.
There's a renewal fee, man.
Josh is still in the lead, though, with, 3.
Yeah, and that valve got turned off, so there's no re-up in that anymore.
Yeah, I'm out of
my
that race,
quota.
too. I'll stay in second place.
That's the funny thing is we're still, because I always said 2 and done, but I was like, all right, now I got 2 girls. Do I roll that dice to try and get a son,
Bet you
or
got
end up with a 3rd girl?
I bet you.
Well, that's why there's more women on the planet than there are men. For that very reason.
Because someone tries and they fail.
Yeah, because most cultures are heavily patriarchal, and they try until they have a boy.
Yeah.
I
Well,
had a boy to begin with, and I was like, yay, we won. We can stop now.
I think I would bet it all on the roulette wheel before I gambled that way.
Yeah, we got a good even mix, I suppose. We have too many of each, so we don't need to try anymore.
Did you say too many of each?
Yeah.
One was too many.
She's enough.
Yeah, the girls are. Oh my God! Like this whole week has made me realize. Like I know you guys are gonna laugh at me, but how much I have to get my language on lockdown.
I can imagine.
Oh, it got like with the snap of a fingers, it got horrible this week.
Thanos snap.
Yep.
Snap.
Does she have a favorite
It's-
curse word yet?
No, she's just going through the gambit, and it's weird too because sometimes, like, she'll look at me and say one, and I'm like, no, you don't ever say that to mommy and daddy. And then like today we were driving and people doing stupid stuff, and I was like, these dude, like I forget that she's in the back of the car. I'm like, these stupid effing people, and then she's like, Daddy, you don't say stupid effing people. I was like, yes, you're right, good girl. I don't say that.
How old is she now?
She will be 3 on the 23rd. So, my wife says all her parenting groups call it the three-nager, and then the FU4s.
Threes seem to be the ones that stood out as the most
worst.
difficult for us.
Same here.
The terrible twos really weren't a thing.
No.
Yeah,
Like 3.
two. She was fine for most
Like-
of it.
4
Yeah,
got
like-
better. 5 was cool.
Yeah.
Did yours cry a lot for everything?
Yeah,
Yes,
every damn thing.
yes.
Hasn't
Yes.
stopped yet.
No.
I don't. I gotta change your diaper. Ah! She'll be playing with her toys, and like she has these Rapunzel toys from the Disney shows, and then she has these horses. So she puts them on the back of the horses and goes around the living room. And if one of them falls off, she starts crying. And I'm like, "What? Put him back on the back of the horse. Why are you crying? What? I don't. Stop. Chill."
When
You
she
two
does
are
that, you
strong.
need to take a picture of her and then write a little caption on it so that you can remember and look back and just laugh. All of the stupid stuff that they scream and cry at for no reason.
My daughter's about out of it, which is nice. It lasted a little bit longer than I thought it would for a couple things.
It's
Isaac
nutty.
just turned 4, and I somehow expect that, like, nope, you're done with that. You're out of that zone.
Hmm.
But no. And then Elizabeth is just, man, she's a Tasmanian devil. She cares not. Like, she has no indiscretion about anything. She will destroy and scream and break and yell and stomp. And she pooped in the pool today and just, like, laughed.
Wow.
That
Watch
girl
the
does
world-
not
watch the
care
world burn.
about anything. Yes, exactly. She will rule over all of us one day with an iron fist. And as her father, I will not be safe.
it's going to be a North Korea situation.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you should show her Game of Thrones ever.
Well, you know, no one, only one person killed their father, right?
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah, but you have some very, very tough women in that show.
Oh yeah, but they all love their daddies.
Sure.
Here's hoping.
So what you guys have been up to this week? Besides Mark, we already know what
Yeah.
he's been up to.
Yeah, you know.
When you have a new kid, there's nothing else going on but that.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. It's still a big deal.
I cleaned my basement a little bit after the the air conditioning install, but
Yeah,
I
do you
might
have
have-
air conditioning yet?
yes.
That's good.
Well, actually, that was the thing. Like, I came home the day after she was born, trying to get the house ready, and the air conditioning wasn't working. And I was like, "This is a new system." And basically, I don't have now. Now the problem is that the system isn't dying. It's that I don't have big enough ducts for airflow, so the system froze up.
Hmm.
So the guy just cut a big hole in one of my returns at the end, and he's like, "There, that should do it."
Yeah, give me all the ducks.
So I got to find some spots for some new ducts, but other than that, yeah, air conditioning is working. Basement's coming back together. X-Carve will be running again.
Is that a side effect of you adding all those returns everywhere?
Well, no. Even if I added them all, it's still not enough because my ducting. We're supposed to technically have like a 2.5 ton system. They put in a 3 ton system because it'll be okay. But it turns out that I need, even though what I have, it's still not enough airflow through the ducts. So I got to get more spots, and that's going to take some planning because I don't know where I'm going to put them, or how I'm going to get them there. But for the most part, yeah, everything is okay. It's just a matter of getting it done.
More air to draw into it or more places for the air to go?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Because when they designed my neighborhood, there was no such thing as central air, and moving heat isn't an issue. So the blowers are only 4-inch pipes, so they're tiny. And the returns I put in are 6-inch, but there's not enough of them for the air to pull in, I guess. So I can add a couple more. I can figure that out, but it's not something I'm going to be tackling at the moment. My house is cold. That's really all I'm concerned with right now.
Nice.
Put it to 68 and it felt like I had the flu because my feet and my hands were cold. I was like, oh, this is different.
I wish we had that problem. It was 114 one day last week here.
Well, see, that's different. I don't think any system can handle that kind of heat.
I mean, it's somewhat comfortable in the house, but it seems like relentless here right now.
I saw somebody's, like, they had a Tesla, and one of the temperature readings on it was 122.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much.
Hottest I've seen was 141.
Oh,
It was
Saudi Arabia.
inside-
well, yeah, you
No,
were.
it was in Iraq, but it was inside of my little shipping container thing, and the air conditioner died. And we had to wait like a day for them to bring like a whole new system. And I had a little clock with a thermometer. I took a picture. You slept outside underneath something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was cooler than being inside there in my bed.
It's yeah. It was bad enough doing the air conditioning in the attic when it was 95 here. I think in my attic it was probably 125.
Oh yeah, we've been doing work in Bob's attic, and it is sweltering hot, just stagnant mess.
Yeah.
It's terrible. You go through a t-shirt in like 10 minutes.
It's like constant swamp ass.
Yep. You smell like balls for the rest of the day.
It's only a Monday.
I know. Let me see what I do. I turned 34, and I got a new car.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
Happy
so I got
birthday.
Thank you. I got a Land Rover Discovery, which is not the Land Rover I talked about here. It's a different one, but super fun, and it's kind of neat. And I add to the weird, exotic SUV collection that apparently I like to make stuff employees are mandated to have. What else do we do? Oh, like the first week in July is crazy. It's always been crazy for our family. Like there's 4th of July and barbecues and usually stuff going on. Deacon's birthday's on the 6th, mine's on the 7th, so it's a non-stop week. So it was busy. It was fun. It was busy.
Wes, what you been up to?
I've been building a table, like a permanent location for my laser cutter in my workshop. It was on a rickety, like, folding table that was not anywhere near as stable as it should have been for the weight and of this machine. So it's just like shop furniture kind of deal. Built that. Did some lasering on some stamps for some people. Sent one of them to Donovan, the beardless man, as a surprise, which he got, which was, I think he likes, which is cool. I've been working on the Settlers of Catan board game set that I'm working on with my buddy David from Ingram Designs on Instagram and Robert from RWR Solutions on Instagram. They're both local makers here in the Raleigh area. And we're making a Catan set with like tons of different species of wood and using the CNC to cut the little hexagon shapes out and using the laser to laser different kinds of patterns. And I've got like a neat little thing I'm holding up for the audience there in our YouTube channel so they can see. So this is the hex for the clay or the brick resource. And it's just a prototype kind of thing, but it's fun.
Looks pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Got some purple heart, yellow heart, Paduke, some walnut going on.
Paduke.
Probably by the end of it, we'll probably have like 8 or 10 species of wood in the whole project. We're going to have like walnut base, cherry, what else? White oak, maybe some poplar.
What was the green?
That was some trans tint dye. That's the only one that was artificially colored because there are green tiles. And I looked up a couple of the weird exotic species that people get for green, but you have to like expose them to UV light and do all these kind of weird things to get them to keep the green. And I'm just like, eh.
Hey, you just get some poplar.
Yeah, but I also read that the green on that turns to brown over time. So
Well, Purple Heart and stuff is the same way. If you expose it to UV light, it gets more purpley because it'll turn kind of brownish over time.
So we'll see what happens. But it's fun. Got a lot of good feedback on the my Instagram page where I'm posting the stuff. We'll probably do a video on it when we're getting closer to being done. But it's cool. And Samantha's at camp this week. I go get her tomorrow. In 2 days. She'll have been gone for a week, like a sleepaway kind of sleepover camp. Where she's doing like archery and sailing and a bunch of other kind of Hunger Games preparation type of activities. That's how we roll here in North Carolina. You guys didn't know that. And That's about
Does
it.
the camp have a very catchy 80s movie name?
Camp Anawana.
Camp Don Lee. Not very exciting.
Yeah, they could do better.
Yeah, pretty lame.
That's Bruce Lee's cousin,
That's right. Don.
And Donley.
Don Lee. He was a used car salesman, and then he had some land.
Just got back. Let's see. Got back from a date night with the wife. Half a date night. We went to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. Excuse me. Which was pretty good. It's about on par with the first one. Not a super stellar movie, but it's pretty solid. Some good references. There's a little bit of tie-in to Avengers. Not much. It's pretty standalone. Worth seeing. But maybe not in the theater. It's not that. I don't think you really get a theater caliber experience with the visuals. I mean, some of the stuff they do is similar to what they did in the first movie where they did the quantum realm stuff. It's similar to like Doctor Strange looking psychedelic stuff. But it's probably just as good as a rental. That's about it for me.
Last week I lost a $2,000 job. That was fun.
Yeah,
nice.
the holes.
Yeah, I had a potential order for 72 19 by 24 inch pegboards out of Baltic birch. And they needed them within just a couple days, so I had to give them a quote based on the time that I'd be running their machine and the cost of the materials that I would be able to get. And the quote was a little bit over $2,000 because it was going to end up being about 70 hours of runtime to cut it. Because I think I finally got the cut time down to about 47 minutes per board. But based on that, my contact, also friends I have at this company, talked to the owners and it got shut down. So I kind of lost that bid. And they pulled in another bid for about half that price that they were going to do at a later time. So I lost about 3 days prepping for that, ordering the bits ahead of time that I would need, and running tests, running it out there and doing the test. The board came out great. The CNC did a great job, and I mean, there's really no reason why it shouldn't. It just, it's 456 holes per board. They would have to plunge and go. So this week I've been trying to catch up, and I have one video that'll be out tomorrow. I have another one will be out next week. That'll be kind of interesting. It's one next week is a lot more geared towards kids. Josh, your kids play with Beyblades, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
The video next week that's the focus of the video.
Cool.
Yeah.
They try to inform me every day about all those stupid names and.
Can't you hear the excitement in his voice?
I know. I actually play quite a bit with them. I'm become a little bit of a fan of it. I don't care about the show, but the little devices are pretty fun. I like the physics of it.
Well, you mentioned earlier about the screaming for no reason. Beyblades is a significant portion of that pie chart.
I understand the reaction.
Doesn't fit. The one little tip thing on the bottom fell off, and Isaac got mad and asked me to glue it. So I glued it, and then he got pissed 10 seconds later because he couldn't take it off and change it out. Ugh, boy. Yeah.
You told me to glue it. What'd you want?
Well, they do the thing now where we have hardwood floors in the house, and they'll stand up and they'll launch. It's a top that has the little drawstring thing.
Yeah.
And then it spins off and they spin around. Well, the things drop 3.5 feet to the floor, and boom, 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 and then they spin all around, and it makes this horrible noise, and I don't want them denting my floor, so I'm constantly hollering at people to go use the stupid Beyblade arena thing that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But then a shoebox is a Beyblade arena, and just they're tops. They like it, they're enjoying it. Hurry for them. I'm just tired of. Daddy, can you put this back on here for me? I'm ugh. Put it back on the launcher, and then zip, and it falls off. Daddy, can you put this back on here for me? I'm this is a game I don't want to play.
You're losing.
Vicious cycle. Yep.
So what are we talking about this week?
I think we're talking about date night. Different, I don't know, different connotations of that, different experiences. What do you think, Josh?
I think it's really important to date your spouse, which sounds kind of weird as a married couple, but you should date your spouse. You should enjoy going out and having special time away from all of the other people in your life and just spend some quality time with you and your significant other.
It is one of those newer terms that's more specific to our generation. Like my parents never would have used a term like that. They'd have just called it getting away from the kids, or private time, I guess, or something. I don't know. Yeah, but I think the notion behind it and the emotion behind it is different too. Just because I think that generations have changed and the idea of a relationship has changed, and that's where that idea of needing to date your spouse, I think, has kind of come up a little bit more.
Since you've been married or before that?
No, I think it's only been the last maybe 10, 12 years at the most.
That seemed like a long time until I just remembered I've been married almost 14 or 15 years.
Yeah, you've been married longer than I have.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's weird because we've had family members that have had troubled marriages, and so they look at Tiffany and I remember one family member in particular, she made the comment, she's like, it's really awesome that you guys like each other. And that caught me off guard.
I never understood that, because I've heard similar things like that. I'm like, you got married for what reason?
There's a lot of different reasons for that, though.
Exactly, and this episode is not about like winning at being married over other people, but I think it's to highlight that
we're going on 16 years, so we're winning, right?
I guess you are winning.
Oh.
Yeah.
The loser would say that.
Do we have more trophies?
Yeah.
Participation.
But whatever circumstance you happen to find yourself in your marriage, whether you feel it's awesome or it needs improvement, I mean, dating your spouse is a good, healthy way to start that improvement. That if you don't want to hang out with the person that you're married with, that's kind of sad, but you should probably find a way to get out and try to rekindle that. Because, I mean, your kids, I will easily, and my wife will roll her eyes at me, go, your kids are huge ball and chains. Like, my wife has never been the ball and chain in my relationship. Like, that weird little idiom. Like, my kids are the ball and chains. Like, they keep you from doing those fun, neato things that you would do with your girlfriend. And now that your parents, like, oh, I can't go to my favorite restaurant because they don't have freaking macaroni and cheese and you can't color on the placemats. So I guess we can't go do that anymore. Or if you go to those places, they kind of ruin them.
They frown upon that kind of behavior.
Yeah, so it's really important to get out and do something that's just specific to the two of you.
Yeah, whenever I go to Chuck E. Cheese by myself, I always get weird looks. Ask for a table for one. It's really not fair.
Stop playing at the balls.
Party. Like for my birthday, Tiff went out of her way to make sure that it was just time for the two of us. So she had we have a bunch of friends here in Kentucky, and so she kind of split up the babysitting tasks for a bunch of people. So she and I went to breakfast together, just the two of us, and talked about future plans or things that we want to do. And then that evening, she got me a cooking class that was just the two of us, and we had a bottle of wine as we were cooking this awesome 3-course meal, and it was, I mean, we can cook dinner here together any night of the week, but we're surrounded by kids that are screaming about wanting gummies and where's my cup and Deacon sitting in my chair. And so it's even doing the same thing that you may do on a normal basis in a different setting is hugely beneficial.
Yeah.
So how was your date tonight, other than going to watch a movie? Like,
It was a little bit abbreviated. The person we have our niece in town, but she was at her grandmother's and she was supposed to drop her off earlier and blah 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 blah. She got to our house later than expected, so we weren't able to go out to dinner before the movie. So we just ate pizza at home with Grant, and then went to the movie. Came back here for the podcast. But that's not our only quote-unquote date night format. Sometimes we'll do other things. It's not terribly varied, but sometimes it'll be like a concert. Like we like doing live music sometimes, or something like that. We don't really ever go bowling or any other sorts of activities. We try to think of other things to do, but it usually comes back to the core couple things. Not that, I mean, they have a lot of opportunities around here. Sometimes we'll do like a hockey game or something like that, but it's, I don't know, we kind of get set in our ways and don't really want to chance something being not very good on or one opportunity to have a night out, ever so often. So we would go with something that we know is going to be a success or higher chance of success.
your safe dates?
That's right. Because there's a couple restaurants that we want to try. Like one's like a Korean place. Well, we don't want to bring the kids because their chance of liking something there is lower than some other type of establishment. And then when we do have an opportunity just to go for her and I, that conversation comes up. We're like, oh, we could go to the Korean place. Well, what if it's not as good? We know this other place is really good. All right, let's just go there. So it happens like rinse and repeat pretty much every time. So I don't know. It's good to get something new. Change it up a little bit, I think.
See, I like taking that chance though on a new place, because it's still, you still get the, like, that excitement of, oh, I hope it's good,
Mm.
And even if it's bad, you walk away with it going, well, now we know, don't come back here. Now we can try another new place next time.
What about you, Josh? You guys got thrown into a community that you had no real reference to. Like all the different things available and whatnot. How long did it take you guys to? Are you finding new stuff to do all the time, or is it typical small town, or there's only like, we can go to the Walmart and hang out, or we could go to the shut down Quiznos and get a bite to eat in the alley or something. What's kind of
This
stuff
town
is there
has like surprisingly a lot of like restaurants and a lot of really good ones. A good mix of like the popular chain restaurants and some local stuff.
Mhm.
So there's still places that we haven't been. And I think one of the dates we went to the Indian food restaurant, and there's like a Thai place that's super delicious. And like my favorite restaurant in town is this deli, but then Louisville is up the road, and we don't know a whole lot about. And it's a major city, we don't know a whole lot about it. And when we went to the cooking class, like I've been downtown a couple times for things, and the airport is on the south side. And so as soon as we passed the airport, Tiff's like, I've never been this far. It's like, I don't know where we are. So it was a little adventure just to go downtown. Yeah, there's somewhere new to go. Usually each time, but I don't know about you guys, but all of our grown-up dates usually end up at Target.
What do you mean end up at Target? That's the main location.
I don't know why that happens. Like Target is one of those places where like the kids can go to. It's a neutral zone. But I guess you can walk around and look at all the tchotchke decor items without the kids there.
Look at all the Eiffel Towers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Eiffel Towers in Target, right? It's almost like a scavenger hunt. See how many Eiffel Towers you can find? There's a lot.
I like going to Target and looking at all the builds or like the new home decor that we saw on YouTube and our friends make like 3 months prior. That has now made its way into the store. Like, wait, Dresta did that. No, Benny Wade did that one. Yeah.
Sean, what about you, man?
I've been thinking about it as you guys are talking, and I don't know a lot. Well, my wife and I went on a couple date nights. Was it last week? No, the week before, because we were in Vegas, and my parents are there, and they were able to watch the kids for. We went out like 3 nights in a row.
Nice.
But it's vacation. It's a little bit different, and it was a little bit unique that we were able to do that many days in a row, and it was nice. But that's not the typical representation of what we're able to do. We get away very rarely for a date night, just because we don't have a whole lot of support in terms of babysitting and other things. So for us, it's more about I get out of work early for one day or something, and then we'll go have lunch together. Or we'll get away for maybe about 3 hours in the afternoon to go watch a movie, because we like being at the movies when nobody else is there, which makes it kind of fun too. And yeah, and that's kind of the way it goes for us. We don't. I'm not admitting to anything or whatever. Why are you licking your lips? No. That's just the way it kind of goes for us. Every now and then, if we get like an afternoon together, sometimes we'll just drive around town, and some of our best conversations happening while in the car, because we can't really be on our phones as much. We don't have the same distractions, and we've kind of made a habit of that for the last 15 years or more that we've been together. So a little bit different. We don't do a whole lot of dinners together anymore. Like I said, the scheduling is a little bit more difficult. But that's how we make it work.
I think that's fun, because when we lived in Georgia, I mean, I worked in that bunker where I didn't get to see anybody during the day. So to be able to hang out like with my wife during the afternoon, like if I'm out doing something or if I'm at work and I just kind of want to come home really quick, like that's really exciting. It's a weird like context change.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm supposed to be working, but now I get to hang out with you. Like you get to play hooky with your own wife, which is kind of fun.
I do a lot of periodic trainings for work, so I mean it happens maybe once every other month, and it's just fun having those 2 hours before the roads get all crazy and everybody else is out of work, to have a nice lunch together, or maybe run a couple errands together and just spend that time, and temporarily forget that we have 2 other responsibilities that are waiting for us to pick them up.
Yeah, one thing when we were in Georgia, we found, I don't remember how, I think Tiff probably set it up, but we had a regular babysitter. We found some girl, I don't remember how. She was really nice, and I think it was every 2 weeks. Because like in our budget, we have set aside like date night money. And if we don't go on a date, it just rolls over. And so we just have a fund that's specifically set aside for us to go do something. And at that time, it was every 2 weeks. Like that girl was coming over at 6:30 or whatever, and we were coming back around 9:30 or 10. And it was a thing that we just did. It was a regular part of our routine. It was awesome. And she like went to college or some crap, which she couldn't do it anymore. But like, it was amazing.
Stupid higher education.
Right? You have a job. Pays $9.50 an hour. And you can be on your phone all you want.
Don't you want to be like Mary Poppins?
But we moved into this house. So I like met the neighbor next door, and the very first thing he said after I told him how old our kids were, he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "my daughter is like a junior in high school." He's like, "You got a babysitter anytime you want." And I almost hugged this like perfect stranger. And so it's been really nice being able to have the availability, because like our family's not here, but we have a lot of friends in this area that people that we trust that can watch our kids whenever we need them to. You can't take it for granted being able to go out and hang out with your lady.
I'm supremely jealous. I don't trust any of our neighborhood kids.
Well, you gotta look outside your neighborhood. I honestly, I don't remember how we found that girl. It might have been through Facebook Marketplace, so she could have been like, I don't know, she could have been a dance mom or something in the future. I have no idea, but whatever. She showed up. She seemed legit. Asked her how to do the Heimlich maneuver in CPR. She muddled through it. I taught her how to do it, and I ran out the door. Did you guys have a go-to? Like if it was date night tonight, like you have an idea of what you would want to go do?
No. It's always problematic.
Cheap sushi place. That's usually the
Yeah.
yeah. That's usually our go. We have a cheap. Now, when I say sushi buffet, don't think of what you're thinking about. We have this. There's a place that opened up around the corner from us, and they have like sushi buffet, but everything's like made with high turnover, so it's not literally sitting in a metal can all day. It's on a nice glass plate on ice. It's there maybe 10, 15 minutes before it's completely taken. They make a new roll, so it's not super high end sushi, but it's not the worst, and it's good for when you don't have a lot of money but you still want sushi.
Mm-hmm. Sushi ain't cheap.
No, you'd cry if I told you how much money I spent on sushi when I was younger. It was ridiculous.
We have a taco place it's a small chain in the area, and they have really good steak tacos. They're soft tacos. There's not a lot of stuff on them, but it's just like the perfect combination. And we've tried other Mexican restaurants or other places that have similar like street style tacos, like smaller size. You get like 3 of them on the plate, I think. They don't even compare. Like, it's not even fair to the other restaurants that we have this like hidden metric basically for those. So it's a little expensive, so we can't do that all the time, but that's one of our go-to places. Bonefish Grill used to be another one that we would go to a lot. Pretty reliable. But we tend to, yeah, we got one of those.
We got one of those, and it's good, but it's a little pricey.
It is a little pricey, yeah. And a lot of those restaurants of that kind of category, even the pricier ones, I'm less impressed with them than I used to be, because I realize that how little effort their cooking takes for a lot of those. They're like parboiled, par cooked, like things that are mostly cooked somewhere else, and then like flash frozen or put in a fridge, and hey, we're gonna microwave it, the rest of the way. Hey, it's fresh. Here you go. Our chefs are experts. You're like, yeah, are they? Are they?
They are expert at the Cuisinart 400 watt Model 75.
But to be fair, I mean, a lot of the fancy schmancy cruise ships that they have a similar. That's the only way they can serve that many people. So people go have these nice dinners in a cruise line, and it's similar food to that. It's mostly cooked somewhere else. They just finish it off and put it on a fancy plate. But so we're trying to branch out a little bit and find the places that it's a little more cooked, especially for you, completely from start to finish. Like even like steakhouses, we've kind of gone through the gamut of them around here, and we've pretty much realized that they can't really hold a candle to ones that we just cook here on the grill.
Yep.
And it's like dropping $60 on a nice steak dinner, which is like the tuxedo of meat, as Jimmy Gaffigan says. I'd just rather cook it here.
Yeah, there's like one steak place that I will go to get a steak out of anywhere in the world. Everywhere else, it's like this. Nah. Like I remember we were in London one time, and I went to Gordon Ramsay's steakhouse, expecting to be like wowed at the Gordon Ramsay, and it was like, this is just a regular old floppy piece of meat. This is not good. I was like, I'm gonna go home and cook a steak the way that I know how to cook a steak. And yeah, steak at restaurants is usually disappointing.
Yeah. And we have like the pretty reliable restaurant. Like I took you to that one, the barbecue one.
Yeah, that place was banging.
I mean, with fried chicken and barbecue and ribs and brisket, whatever. But that's kind of, we don't really overuse it, but whenever we have friends or other family that come into town that aren't from this area, we take them there. So we go there a little more often. Then it's not much of a novelty for us, even though it's reliably fantastic. And I probably like it more than the rest of my family, just because I tend to like those kinds of foods more than they do. But yeah, sometimes the date night, it's better to do part of it at home, I guess, as far as eating goes.
Yeah. We try to stick to local places.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of burnt out. It's the same deal. Like, I want to
Yeah.
go somewhere that people actually care about what they're doing. And like,
Which is getting
there's
harder to do.
yeah. Well, here there's a nice blend. Like, there's a deli in town, and they have like a specials board, and I don't think I've ever gotten anything that was not on that daily specials board because they're just uniquely awesome. And it's someplace that I've always went. So on one of these date nights, I was like, I want to introduce you to this place that I think is great. And if you don't reciprocate that level of greatness, I'm going to be sad. So just know that going into this. And she went in and she was blown away just as I was. And I was like, okay, great. We can continue to be married. Or I can let you into the weird little things that I find in hopes that you like them as much as I do. So those seem to be like our date nights because she's here homeschooling, and we've got the two smaller kids, so she's with the kids all the time. And every Monday or so, she and Bob's wife and some other friends of theirs get together at this nice coffee shop downtown to have like a mommy kind of Monday. So she has time where she gets to go with them, but it's usually at the same place. So of the like adventurous, like you asked, are there still places to discover? Like I usually discover those places.
And vet them.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm come back. I'm like, you gotta try this place. It's super awesome. But I would highly recommend. I don't know how expensive they are in your areas, but like the cooking class thing was super fun.
Me and Trey did that once, but I don't think we were allowed to drink while we were doing it.
See, cooking classes for me were just a strategic move. Because earlier on in our marriage, Tiffany sucked at cooking. Like, if she came down, I would tell her I loved her and go, baby, you sucked at cooking for a majority of your adult life. And when we were in Belgium, I was like, look, I'm going to get her a cooking class. Because, A, it'll be fun, and girls are into this kind of thing. And she'll learn how to make something that chances are I'll enjoy. And this will benefit me in the long run. So it's a, you're speaking out of both sides of your face here kind of gift. But usually it ends up working out to your benefit.
I think we're dragging a little bit here. You guys ready to transition into geeking out? Well, we're almost like 50 minutes in, so.
Yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm geeking out on our survey results. We tallied them up and got a lot of cool responses. Thanks to everybody who participated in filling those out. Definitely appreciate it. It had a nice kind of look at like the thought process for you guys, like how you discovered us, how you listened to us, what your favorite guests were, who you'd like to see on the show. We had a lot of cool responses. We threw some fun questions in there as well. On the scale of 1 to Nebraska, one person said, "What's Nebraska?" So that's good. We do good there. One person said tacos, which is a high caliber, I think.
What? You gotta give some context to this question.
We just asked how we're doing. On on a scale from 1 to Nebraska, how are we doing? And it was open-ended. They could type anything they wanted. Some people said, one person said, "I'm not American. Is Nebraska good or bad? You're 11 on Spinal Tap Amp." I guess that's good. I never watched that movie.
Because they turned it up to 11.
A lot of people liked when we had Brian Gordon on the show. One guy just says the duck guy, so I guess that's who he's talking about. It's a nice kind of mix of questions and stuff. So we had some giveaways for people. It was a random 3 prizes for 3 people. Joshua 1177 won a $25 Amazon gift card. Mr. Bauer won a $20 gift card for Fandango to go watch some movies.
Very cool.
And an email, which is makinggeeks@Jeeves something. I'm not going to say the whole thing on the air, but you know your email address. I'll send you the confirmation you won a custom water bottle. So thanks to all the people who participated. We appreciate it. And what am I personally geeking out about? I've been kind of turning back the clock and watching a lot of old informational videos that were produced like during the 40s, 50s, and 60s on YouTube that have to do with like home economics and other random things. And it's kind of interesting to see like the U.S. Department of Agriculture produce videos on proper kitchen layouts for the housewife. They're quite a blast from the past, and see like how what they thought was revolutionary at the time, things that kind of held on from there that are still in use, things that I'd never seen before. They had some interesting appliances and other kind of approaches at solving problems that I never even thought about. One of the things, just to call out one, they had a range, like cooking top, that was part of, had the oven at the bottom, and 4-burner electric range, which was the new thing apparently at the time. In the back left corner, one of the coils was on a spring, and they could push that down into the range and put like a giant pot into that cavity, so the top of the pot would sit level with the rest of the heating elements on the top of the stove.
Huh.
And so it showed them having like potatoes and other things in there. And
Like a stock pot.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Good idea.
Never saw that. And some other interesting things. So we can put a couple of those in the show notes if you guys like. But
what kind of prompted you to start looking those up?
well, when we were at Maker Faire, the Airbnb that we were at, we stayed at the Airbnb with Daniel from Switch and Lever, the YouTube channel, and he had like a strange love for these types of videos. So we kind of went down this rabbit hole.
That's how we found out about irradiated bacon.
There was always like, "Hey, buddy, you want some radiated bacon?" And they had like the little cartoon characters, kind of like in the Jurassic Park when they start talking to Mr. DNA, like running around and stuff. It was a similar kind of approach, and it was just funny to hear that sort of style of instructional video.
Don't forget to eat your irradiated bacon, Johnny. That's how you survive the war.
And all their little catchphrases they use and stuff. I actually want to take some notes on a bunch of those videos and kind of pull out the funny phrasings and the interesting, gee whiz kind of stuff, and put it in a review video for like my laser engraver. That's my project I want to put it on. Like, oh, look at these friendly photons doing their work, and have like a little 8-crappy animation of photons hitting something. I don't know. I could just imagine it would be hilarious.
And it has to be in black and white, and it has to have that dirty film shutter effect.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm geeking out about. Random stuff that's random.
I'm geeking out about. I've been going through since I have no more cable. I've been going through my computer to find stuff to watch, and I stumbled across the Sci-Fi Channel's Dune miniseries. So I have, I think, 3 hours of Dune and 3 hours of Children of Dune. So you get to watch some good old sci-fi.
My dad and my uncle used to watch the original movie of Dune nonstop. I don't know what it was, but I think they wore out that VHS that they used to watch. I never saw the newer series though. I knew that a lot of people liked him. I knew
Professor X is one of the children of Dune.
I didn't know that.
Michael, what's his name?
Rosenbaum? No.
No,
What?
that's Lex Luthor.
Yes.
Um,
From the newer ones?
yeah,
James McAvoy.
James. Yeah, I'm sorry, James McAvoy. Yeah, he's one of the kids. And yeah, I remember watching them when they were on TV, not really knowing what Dune was, just going, "Oh, cool," But yeah, they were fun to watch.
I know they've been trying to reboot the movie for quite a while. I don't know if they're any closer right now. They've talked about it for a while
Yeah.
though.
So they are. I follow a guy on Twitter. This is my last geeking out. There seems to be movement about a sequel or reboot for The Last Starfighter.
That's interesting.
Which I'm hoping for sequel, because stop rebooting things. I want to see old grizzled Alex come out with Centauri in the background, you know. But either way, that was just one of those. That was one of those movies from my childhood that just watch every summer. You know,
Pretty cool.
it's great.
I don't know if I'm really geeking out about anything. I finished watching Luke Cage. Thought it was okay. I think we talked about it the last time we talked a little bit. And I finished watching Glow. I don't think anybody's a fan of that show.
What's that?
I just thought it was a lot of fun. And I'm a huge fan of Mark Maron, and I thought the season was even better, or he played an even better part this season. I just had a lot of fun with it.
What role does he play? I'm not familiar with the actor name. Is he the showrunner in the show?
Yeah, Mark Maron is the main director of the wrestling show. Yeah,
Gotcha.
he's a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
He's an angry stand-up comedian.
His stand-up is not much different than his dialogue in the actual show, except they made him a little bit more candid and I guess likable this time instead of as ornery. But yeah, I recommend his stand-up too. It's pretty good. Josh, how about you?
I've been geeking out about a collaboration that I'm doing with Daryl from the Broken Nerd. I talked about it on here where I modeled and 3D printed this kind of helmet that I've been having in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed it to him. He's like, "Oh, that's cool." And I was like, "I don't know how in the world he does what he does so easily." And we got talking, and I was asking for some help, and he's like, "Well, why don't we just kind of make a helmet together, and we can make a video?" And so I think he's going to make the video kind of, and then I will see how to make the helmet in the video. But he's making a Centurion's helmet, so he's going to make, what's his name? Sam Rockwell, not Max Rockwell. Jake Rockwell, not Sam Rockwell. He's an actor. Jake Rockwell's helmet from the Centurions, using the bust of me that you scanned at Maker Faire, Mark.
Oh, nice.
So he was like, "What are your head dimensions?" I was like, "Well, as a matter of fact, I just happen to have me." So he's modeling it off of the scan, and I think it's going to be on the Make channel because he has a regular content that he puts out for Make. And I think this may be one of them. But I'm pretty stoked about it. He sent me some kind of early renderings, but it looks really fun. So I'm going to have a Centurion's helmet, which hopefully will be motivation enough to try to make the rest of the pieces.
He's done some really cool stuff lately. I really like that Nova helmet that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that came out really nice.
It seems like he's going out of his way to do helmets that may not be in like the spotlight at the moment, but they're still known.
Yeah. He
likes to work with concept art, or ones that are not as super popular. I think it may be more of a challenge. There's not as many reference photos, and so he was like, "Do you have any reference photos?" I was like, "I've got some crappy '80s cartoons, and I've got some tiny pictures of toy helmets." He's like, "Cool." So what he's made up so far looks pretty neat. So I'm excited about that.
Well, we would love to hear from all of you. Go ahead and check out the Making Geeks website and go to the contact page. You could leave us any questions or suggestions you have for the show. And right there on the homepage of the site, you can listen to all of our past episodes. And go ahead and take a minute and look back through those old episodes and take a look at all the guests we've had on the show as well, right there on makinggeeks.com.
And you can find us across all the social medias on Instagram at Making Geeks Podcast, on Twitter and Facebook at Making Geeks.
And we'd like to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/makinggeeks for helping to show their support in a financial way. It's definitely not required. It's not necessary, but we definitely appreciate their help. It helps fund things like the giveaways that we had with our surveys and trips and stickers and all the things that kind of add the frosting to the cake of Making Geeks Podcast. And I'd like to give a special shout out to our top patron, Mr. Seth Williams. And I'll shout out the other guys as well. We don't really highlight them enough, but Chad from Mancrafting, thank you, sir. Maker on the Move. Broken Antler Workshop, Mr. Tony Rouleau, Rob Clark, AJ Huff, Michael Rodriguez, excuse me, sir, aka the Home Gamer Engineer, and Live Free and DIY. Thank you all you guys for your support. It's amazing. So head over to patreon.com/makinggeeks to join the squad.
You guys kick ass. Thank you.
It's very flattering to know that people like what we're doing so much to kind of financially pitch in and be a part of it, and
Yeah, definitely.
we really appreciate it. And if you want to find anything more about the rest of us individually, you can find Wes's work at geeksmithing.com, find Sean at geekbuilders.net, find Mark at asylum-3d.com, and you can find me at thepiworkshop.com. I'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with us this week. Again, go out, schedule some time for you and your lady, or you and your fella, specifically. Go hunt the penny saver for a random babysitter, and go out, go see a movie, go to cooking class, go to dinner, go egg an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend's house, whatever. Go enjoy yourselves. But in the meantime, while you're driving to those places, listen to all the previous episodes of Making Geeks podcast, and we hope you have a fantastic week.
Thank you guys.
Later, everybody.
Have a good week.
And to all you guys in the YouTube channel, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
See y'all next time. I know it was a late one, kind of impromptu, but thank you for sticking it out and joining us. See y'all next week.